Great. So I am Eric Johnson. I'm the EVP of Engineering for GitLab, and this is our How to Achieve presentation for fiscal year 21 Q1 OKRs. If you want to find the handbook page that we're referencing, just Google GitLab OKRs. The overview page will come up, and then click on the appropriate quarter. This is fiscal year 21, even though it's calendar year 2020, and we're talking about Q1 here. And I'll chat this link for folks that are on the call with me. And also we've got an agenda doc for questions and comments. I'll link that in the Zoom chat as well. There we go. So let me start by sharing my screen and pulling up that page, and I'll walk you through how we're planning on achieving some of these things and provide a little bit more context on some of them. So we've got about a 500-person department, so I'm going to be covering my OKRs and mostly highlights from some of my department heads, some of whom are here. So if they don't like the way I'm representing them or talking about them, you feel free to jump in and add more context or override me. But the first one is aligned under Sid's IECV revenue targets, revenue OKRs rather. And for engineering, that's really enterprisegrade.com. That's our objective. So I've got 3 key results. One is to launch a better notion of how we measure availability. So that's a weighted aptX. And then the target for that measurement should be at or above 3 nines. That's another key result. And then also we've signed up to deliver the top 10 customer requested features as prioritized by PM. So this is really about delivering things for customers as sales and product management see them to help drive revenue. Christopher has the exact same goal here. We've struggled back and forth with how to do this. Like in past cases, it's like, well, Christopher's doing this, so it's only going to be in his OKRs, and that's how it's reflected. But then I would get a question of, well, where's that really important goal that we talked about? So we've landed on just kind of duplicating them at both levels or floating them up, to think of it another way. And the fact that it's duplication that really reflects that, like, Christopher and I are going to be working together on these things, and that's why it's located at different levels of the hierarchy. Onto quality. So this is Mech's department. He's going to be working on enterprise grade readiness with better test coverage, better reference architectures. And he's going to be rolling out an on-call process for within his quality department. Tom in support is going to be hoping to impact revenue positively in the form of ticket deflection. So ticket deflection is an industry standard term. I don't love it because it's written from the perspective of the benefits to us, the company, but it's really also helpful to customers as well. So it's about providing customers who have an issue with the self-service resources, like a knowledge base, documentation, et cetera, to solve their own issues and therefore not have to open a support case. That benefits them as much as it benefits us. So they're going to be designing that process, rolling it out. The second KR is around training the rest of the organization to use that. And then also training the internal support engineers about how to contribute to those assets that help with ticket deflection. And then on to security. So this is an area we've got a brand new leader in place, Jonathan Hunt. He just joined us. So I expect these OKRs are probably going to evolve the most based on where they are today. He's just at day 10, so he's onboarding, he's getting to know his new department. And I would expect probably in the first month of the quarter, he might even completely retool these. But this is what we're going for as a first iteration. So a gearing ratio for HackerOne bounties. So really developing an algorithmic way to say, based on our very fast growing company, this is what our current bounties should be. We don't want to get complacent or take our eye off the ball and accidentally put something in place that we ignore. And then meanwhile, we double the size of the company, greatly increase revenue, and don't update our bounty program in kind. And so he's going to be working on a way to capture that in the form of what we call the gearing ratio. So he's going to get sign off in our PM and engineering weekly meeting, implement it in HackerOne, and then evaluate by end of quarter. And to the extent it outputs a different answer based on the inputs, to implement that in Q1 in H1 as well. And then VP of infrastructure. So again, it's all about enterprisegrade.com. Got the same goals that I have at my level around the weighted aptX score, the availability, and then also there's some cost savings measures that have yet to be determined that we're going to work on as well. And then on to our product OKRs. Here, my objective is to efficiently build our product vision. And again, Christopher and I have the same key result here, which is to increase our MR rate. This is something that's near and dear to Sid's heart. And, you know, engineering headcount is, I think, the single largest item in our spend. And so making sure that we're efficient there is really important to the value we deliver to customers, to our financial plan, and all that stuff. Also, we're going to be dogfooding self-monitoring and making that set of features better. So you see infrastructure has that same key result as well. Onto UX. UX is going to be validating the maturity ratings that they've got for feature areas that demonstrate an uptick in maturity. Also, the research team is going to be updating the handbook to allow themselves to scale and empower others to do their own research and to contribute to research. So it's not purely the research organization that's doing it. And then you can see Christopher here in development has kind of more detail around productivity. So there's a bunch of metrics related to productivity, like average merge time, the top line goal of MR rate, and other things that he's going to be improving, which is all about efficiency. And then down to quality, we've got some new KPIs we're going to be building. Security is going to be building some security specific environments and moving their tooling there. This is a very practical concern. If there was a open security incident that affects GitLab.com, we want to make sure that this team has access to their tools, to their runbooks, so that they can address it. To me, this is also a dogfooding angle. This means that our security department is going to be setting up and running a self-managed environment the way many of our customers do, and that's going to help understand the security profile for those types of instances, which can be different from GitLab.com. So there's a good side benefit there. And then also in infrastructure, as I mentioned, we're going to be dogfooding, monitoring essentially the ops stage features. So then down to our team OKRs, we're going to lower the average location factor and enable entry-level hiring. So we've got an internship pilot program that's going on. We need to hire 4 interns and set them up for success this quarter. We need to collaborate with the data team to get some average location factor charts up and running for each department and section head. We can't manage what we can't measure here, so it's quite important that we get better data. And also going to be hiring a VP of infrastructure. One of the things that I think is really important and I want to focus on, but we weren't able to get a key result in here, is aside from location factor, other dimensions of diversity like gender and ethnicity. And I would describe the current state of those as they've been improving consistently. I think we're at or above our comparable companies of our same size and industry. But of course, the promise of GitLab is that we're better than that. However, we're kind of hard blocked in 2 ways from having from being able to get better. One is we need to solve some security issues around the data warehouse, so we can get diversity data into that and then get it out in the form of charts so we can, again, measure and therefore manage it better. And then also there's some compliance issues around how we collect that data. And so I'm not confident that we have a path to do that yet, as much as I wanted to take on OKRs for that this quarter. But we are going to be working on it. Diversity is one of our core values, and it's really, really important. We just need to eliminate those 2 blockers, and I think we can carry that forward next quarter. In terms of what the rest of the departments are doing under the team goal, a lot of them, I'll just kind of speak generally here, are adding an additional management layer. So you have like a 3-layer department going to a 4th layer by adding directors or senior managers. I think just about everybody is doing that, and that should not be taken lightly. Also, we've got a headcount plan that today is hitting our financial goals. It's not quite approved yet, but it's close. But the hires are kind of just smoothed out over the year. And that allows finance to hit our dollar target, but we need our department heads to build like a precise hiring order plan. Right now people are saying like, I need that director, and right now it says I can't hire them by October. My answer is great, develop that ordering plan, and then as long as you make those trade-offs within your own department, you can hire whatever you need in whatever order, and we still hit our financial numbers. So people are gonna have KRs for those plans as well. And then let me see if there's anything else I want to call out here. I think that's, one interesting one is that infrastructure is going to be taking another attempt at shipping stable counterparts in the SRE organization. So we did identify at the manager level in the past who is working with who across infrastructure and development. We didn't do it down to the individual level, so individual SREs, so that's going to be happening. And also we're going to provide some structure around giving SREs the knowledge of like, this is how you're actually expected to collaborate. These are the meetings you're expected to attend. These are, you know, how on what cadence you're supposed to coordinate with who to really make sure that people on the development side are taking into account the needs of the scalability of GitLab.com and the needs of the infrastructure department. So that's an important thing we're going to be doing. So that, I'll start projecting my screen in the doc. There's a couple of things I wanted to highlight. One, the note about development taking on the top 10 features, that was at the request of sales, so we managed to get that in. Also, product management was the ones that asked for infra to dog food monitoring. We got that in. There was one ask that we haven't got in yet, but I believe we can accommodate, which is McBride and sales asked for a KPI around the number of, I think, self-service renewals controlled for a number of customers, because of course we're growing quite fast, as a way to measure the effectiveness of our renewal portal. And I think that's a good idea. So I just need to have a conversation with Christopher and Bartek, who runs that engineering section, to get that in. And based on looking at Bartek's OKRs last night, it looks like he's got room to take on one more. And then 6, Paul says he can't be here, so I'll read his item. He says, consider adding an OKR to improve location factor by the current target. So I have an OKR in there about location factor, but again, like we can't measure it as well as we want to right now, so I'm focusing on the measurement, but then by all means, once we can do that, I'm comfortable taking on, if not 10%, some meaningful progress to lower location factor on, you know, if not this quarter, definitely next quarter. But we need to fan out to do this. So I need to be able to give individual managers a chart of their average location factor. And then I think we can do that effectively across the 500-person org.
Hey, Eric, can we also clarify what he means by 10% over the current target? So does that mean reduce it from, say, 0.58 to 0.48, or does that mean reduce it by 10% of the current factor? So it'd be more like 0.58 to 0.53 as an example.
Yeah, I took it to mean reduce the target by 10%. And again, like I don't think we have a closed feedback loop today for average location factor, so I'm not comfortable signing up for that, but we can get there, I think, with better data work. Is Sid on the call? Does Sid want to vocalize number 7?
Yeah, thanks for asking. Can we make sure that implementing GitLab metrics is also an OKR for the infrastructure group? Because the monitoring team is going to need some collaboration there, and it's gonna actually like detract from their other jobs.
Yeah, right now we've got number 8 under this. The product OKR is interim VP of infrastructure, and it says dogfoodgitlab.com uptime is part of the product, and then monitor our monitoring SLOs and SLAs. But I think we can add one specifically for metrics. So I don't know if that's covered in number 2, the SLOs and SLAs or not, but we'll make sure that's in there. And I think in the past you had asked for specific, like list specific Grafana dashboards that are going to be end of life as a part of doing this. So I'm meeting with Jerry tomorrow, and I think we can come up with that list.
Cool, that'd be great. The structure of this meeting opens it up to presentation instead of review with discussion. Should we solicit a YouTube video up front, or what do people want to do to remedy that?
Yeah, you're right. I'm presenting more just because if people are going to watch this 3 months from now who don't work here, they need more context than our normal meetings provide, but I'm up for any suggestions.
I think since this, like the how to achieve, it is so natural to want to present, I think we should require a video in this case, because I think it's useless to have it without a video. I think the context is needed, but we should acknowledge that and have the video up front and send it out like 72 hours beforehand or something like that.
So in other words, I would record a video like kind of solo, and people would watch that ahead of time. And then this actual meeting, internal company meeting, would be, assume people have reviewed that and go right into questions.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll need, maybe one of the CEO shadows can do an update to the how to achieve meeting section on the OKRs page to update that with the new process.
So All our other meetings, the video is optional. In this case, it's not optional, and it needs to be sent out at least 2 business days ahead of time. If it's sent out 3 business days ahead of time, it can be via email. If it's 2 business days ahead of time, it needs to be via Slack.
Hey, Eric, the other thing is to send out an async meeting invite 3 days ahead.
Oh, that's better. Maybe that's what we should do.
Like, I know how, I hate to say this, but I know how we operate, and like we had the OKRs in a week ago, but like we're still scurrying to merge them and whatnot. And it was until the meeting actually showed up on calendars that we pushed ourselves to make sure things were lined up.
Yeah, and I was doing a bunch of handbook merging last night in prep for this meeting, so it's definitely a good forcing function. At our scale, we definitely need to, I think, do probably how to achieve meetings at the department level and use that as a forcing function. I've been feeling like we're close to that within engineering for the past couple of quarters. And that's something, if I hired a chief of staff this year, that's something I'd love for them to organize, because it's becoming a lot for me to, especially your department where you've got directors reporting to you, and they're, it's literally 50 managers. Like I can't manage all of that myself.
Yeah, and I'm not asking that. It's more of just asking Sherry to say 3 days in advance of this meeting, have that invite, and then manage it appropriately is kind of my thought process from an admin perspective.
Like a synthetic meeting that's like a reminder?
Yeah, that's essentially what I'm saying, is an async synthetic reminder that basically gives us a forcing function to then actually have the time to prepare with a short video.
Yeah, so we should have a video reminder meeting. It should be a thing. It should be in our communication guidelines, and maybe it can not have a specific time, but it's like something that has all day and not busy or something like that. But I think that'd be helpful. Or maybe it's a materials review, and it can be a video or something else. But I think that's a great thing, and we should utilize them more often.
Just on that note, would it be more effective than to say that all of the OKR how to achieves are due on a specific date, so that in that 45-minute block you can run through all 6 of them?
No.
No? Okay.
I'm happy to go into details, but that will be my initial take.
Okay.
Would it make sense to have the async deadline all be at the same time, and the meetings can be separate still, but that way the whole company is aligned on a deadline?
I think it's much more about the video should be like 2 business days. The calendar invite for the video should be 2 business days before the meeting, or 1 business day or something like that. Like, it's no use to me if I have to watch 6 videos of 15 minutes in 1 day. That's not great. So it's much more, you want to watch each video just before the meeting. If I view a video and then a week later is the meeting, I would have forgotten everything.
No, I completely agree. I'm thinking more so from the calendar reminder perspective. It might be hard to, it might not be a boring solution to have multiple different due dates for that, instead of having like, okay, everybody at the company have your video in by the 15th, and then the meetings can be the week of, and you can watch them 3 days ahead of time.
People are going to delay the work to the last date, and that's fine as long as there's enough time to review the materials.
Okay. We can start it this way and then always iterate if we need to too.
So number 9, the agenda looks like Sid asked for a KPI.
I'll articulate if you're going to articulate it, but yeah, we should, as a kind of on top, I think merge requests per developer is our primary metric, but just to make sure we keep shipping and we keep announcing things that we ship. I'd like an additional thing with kind of release post items per team member. And then Mac, you can respond verbally, or I can go to 10.
Sure, I just wanted to close the loop that we replace 1 KR in the engineering productivity team and take this on.
Okay, thanks for that. And then I'm with monitoring, like I think our big problem is we're not using it ourselves. So we're not getting it to the state where it's usable. So we're building a ton of functionality, but I don't see it being used a lot. Now for metrics, we're going to solve this quarter. Is it something to also get health with our notification system on the same path? And really good points from Eric there, so I'll hand it over to you.
Yeah, I was just thinking we've got to start somewhere. So between uptime, this suggestion, and the dashboards, it may be too much to do in a given quarter, but I'll talk to Jerry and we'll take on some suitable first iteration. There's probably a couple things that are like ready to be dog food, and we'll do those first. Get something, kind of just start that culture of shipping or dog fooding this stuff.
Yeah, and this might be something where for this quarter, the infrastructure team won't have time, but it's an OKR for the health team to start focusing there. And then at the end of the quarter, they'll be all complaining about, hey, infrastructure isn't moving, and we can put that on for the next quarter. I agree, we shouldn't overload infrastructure. I think metrics is key there, because without metrics, you're unlikely going to have alerts. So let's go in that sequence.
All right, looks like that's it for agenda. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, maybe I'll say one thing, and that's great OKRs, like usual. Engineering is a super great process. So really impressed. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Sid.